Listen to me carefully because what I'm about to share with you is something that took me years to understand, something that changed the trajectory of my entire life, and something that I believe can do the same for you if you're willing to hear it and truly internalize it. We live in a world that constantly tells us that success should be easy, that if we're struggling, then we're doing something wrong, that there's a shortcut somewhere that we're just not smart enough or lucky enough to find. We see social media posts of people who seem to have made it overnight. We watch documentaries about entrepreneurs who changed the world before they turned 30. And we listen to stories of athletes who became champions almost as if it were destiny, as if they were born with some special gift that the rest of us simply don't possess. But here's the truth that nobody wants to tell you. Here's the reality that gets glossed over in the highlight reels and the success stories. Nothing gets easier, you just get better. That's it. That's the entire secret. Not that the path becomes smoother. Not that the obstacles disappear. Not that one day you wake up and everything suddenly clicks into place and you never struggle again. No. What actually happens is that you develop the capacity to handle what previously would have broken you. You build the mental fortitude to push through situations that would have stopped you in your tracks years ago. You gain the experience and wisdom to navigate challenges with a confidence and skill that makes them seem almost manageable by comparison to where you started. Think about when you first learned to ride a bicycle. Do you remember that feeling of absolute terror? The way your body tensed up? The way you thought surely you would fall and it would hurt terribly? The way your parents had to hold you up and give you confidence? And then one day, somehow, without any miraculous revelation or sudden gift of balance, you just rode it. Not because bicycles got easier, not because gravity changed, not because the physics of balance somehow became less complicated. You got better. Your brain learned to make micro-adjustments, your body developed muscle memory, your confidence grew because you had evidence now that you could do it. That's the metaphor for life itself. Every single thing you've accomplished that matters, every achievement you're proud of, every skill you possess, every relationship you've nurtured, every goal you've reached came not because it got easier, but because you got better at handling it. When I was a kid, I was terrified of public speaking. I would feel physically ill before I had to present anything in class. My hands would shake, my voice would crack, and I was convinced that some people were just natural speakers, and I would never be one of them. I accepted this as my limitation, as my permanent reality. But then life forced me to get better. I had to do presentations at work. I had to speak at my cousin's wedding. I had to share my ideas in meetings where staying silent would mean being overlooked. And each time I didn't suddenly lose my fear, I didn't wake up one day magically transformed into a confident speaker. Instead, I got marginally better each time. I learned that the fear never fully goes away, but that I can function despite it. I learned techniques for managing my breathing and my voice. I learned that the audience actually wants me to succeed, that they're not hoping I'll fail. I learned from each experience, I incorporated new strategies, and slowly, imperceptibly, I became someone who could speak publicly without feeling like I was going to die. Did public speaking get easier? Not really. There are still times when I'm nervous before a big presentation. But I'm so much better at it now that the difficulty level feels completely different. I have tools, I have experience, I have evidence of past success that I can draw from. That's what getting better means. This is crucial to understand, because our entire culture is built around the idea of easy, around the idea of shortcuts and hacks and life-changing secrets that we can unlock if we just find the right person to follow or the right program to buy. We're sold the dream that somewhere out there is the easy path, the one where we don't have to struggle, the one where we don't have to sacrifice or put in the work or face our fears. And so what happens is that when we encounter difficulty, when we find that something is actually hard, we interpret that as a sign that we're doing it wrong, that this particular path isn't for us, that we should try something else instead. We become quitters by default, not because we lack ability, but because we were never taught that difficulty is actually the price of admission to anything worthwhile. Think about your favorite athlete, someone like Michael Jordan or Serena Williams or Messi, someone who seems to make difficult things look easy on the court or field. People watch them and they think that's natural talent. That's pure gift. That's something you're born with, and if you don't have it, then no amount of work will help you. But what they don't see is the thousands of hours of practice, the countless times these people failed, the moments where they doubted themselves, the injuries they pushed through, the sacrifices they made. What they see is the end result, the polished performance of someone who has gotten so good that their excellence appears effortless. But effortless isn't the same as easy. It's the result of extraordinary effort that has been refined and perfected to such a degree that it looks natural. When you watch Messi dribble past 5 defenders and score an impossible goal, you're not watching something that's easy for him. You're watching someone who has gotten so incredibly good at something that looks impossible that it appears easy by comparison. And here's where this becomes really important for your life. Here's where this shifts from being an interesting philosophical idea to something that can actually change your trajectory. The moment you accept that nothing gets easier, the moment you make peace with the fact that whatever you want to accomplish is going to be difficult, that's the moment you actually gain power. Because right now, if you're like most people, you're going through life with this unconscious expectation that things should be easy. That if you're struggling, then something is wrong. That you should feel like you're gliding through life without friction. And when reality doesn't match that expectation, when you find that building a business is actually incredibly hard, that getting in shape requires constant discipline, that maintaining relationships takes effort and vulnerability, that learning new skills is frustrating and slow, you get discouraged. You think maybe this isn't for you, maybe you're not cut out for this, maybe you should just accept that this particular thing isn't going to happen. But what if you changed your expectation? What if you went into everything knowing that it's going to be hard, that it's supposed to be hard, that the difficulty is actually the price of entry and not a sign that you're doing something wrong? Suddenly, the difficulty stops being a reason to quit and starts being evidence that you're heading in the right direction. Because the things worth doing are hard. The things worth having are hard to get. The person you want to become is going to require you to do hard things consistently, often without immediate reward, often without knowing if your effort is going to pay off. Let me tell you about failure, because this is another thing that people get wrong. We treat failure like it's this rare, shameful thing that only happens to people who don't know what they're doing. But the reality is that failure is data. Failure is information. Failure is the primary mechanism through which we get better. Every single person who has ever accomplished anything significant in their life has failed, often spectacularly, often repeatedly, often in ways that were embarrassing or humiliating or expensive. The difference between people who succeed and people who don't isn't that the successful people fail less often. It's that they understand what failure actually is. They understand that failure is feedback, not a final verdict on their ability or worthiness. When you try something and it doesn't work, that's not the universe telling you that you can't do it. That's the universe showing you that this particular approach didn't work, and you need to try something different. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before he invented the light bulb, and he famously said that he hadn't failed. He had just found thousands of ways that didn't work. That's not just a cute quote. That's an actual description of how progress works. Every failure brought him closer to success, because each failure eliminated a possibility. Each failure gave him information about what wouldn't work, so he could focus on what might. This is the mindset that separates people who get better from people who stay stuck. When you fail, you can interpret it as evidence that you can't do something, or you can interpret it as evidence that you haven't learned the right way to do it yet. One of those interpretations leads to you giving up. The other leads to you getting better. I want to talk about plateaus now because this is something that catches a lot of people off guard. You start working towards something. Maybe it's a fitness goal or a skill you want to develop or a business you want to build. And at first, the progress is exciting. You can feel yourself getting better every single day. There's visible improvement. There's momentum. There's the sense that you're on the right track. And then at some point, that rapid progress slows down. The easy gains are gone, and now you're doing the same work but seeing much smaller results. This is where